All right, you guys, welcome back. Time for another one. Here we go. Life is good. Just wanted to say that. Just want to throw it out there. Um, yeah. So what have you done to go get some dope? Right. What was the extent? Have you guys ever traveled abroad? Man, here we go. One of my good friends at the time, when I was younger, I had a best friend, and we as we got older, we kind of grew apart. And he had a cousin. His name's Carlos. So Carlos and I, we had a lot in common, man. We he was just a funny dude. We always used to hit the bars and go play pool, man. And he had his own house at the time, so we'd always be bringing bringing the honeys back to the house and just enjoying ourselves, right? So, and we used to smoke a lot of weed at the time, so much weed at the time. So that was another thing we had in common. Um, so throughout the years, throughout the time I knew Carlos, he he picked up an addiction to opiates, right, to some pills, and that progressed to heroin at the time. I didn't know anything about heroin, man. That just the thought of it scared the hell out of me, man. Um, I always knew it was bad. There was a just the stigma around heroin, right? This took place prior to 2006, so I was still running and gunning, man. So, man, yeah, actually 2005-ish. Anyway, so I started getting to pills heavy, to opiates, like heavy. And in Carlos, I really don't remember exactly when the first time him and I decided to do some pills together, but he had we had our own connects, right? We weren't hanging out every day, nothing like that, but we would hang out often. Um, we both had jobs and just doing our daily living. So I mean, there came a time where both of our connects weren't available, so we would link up and try to just wait for the phone call. Either my guy would call or his guy would call, put some money together, and then we'd go pick up and get our pills. And I'm talking about like Vicodin, a Percocet, Oxycontin, anything we could get our hands on at the time. That's just what we were doing. So this one specific day, man, man, it was probably like a Thursday or Friday. He brought up the idea of going to Mexico, and we're in Tucson. So Nogales, Mexico is probably about 45 to 50 minutes away from Tucson. You have to actually cross the border into Mexico. The first city, first town you hit is Nogales. It's wild down there, man. It is crazy. Any of the border towns are generally crazy. So much is going on there. I had another video talking about how I almost got arrested in Tijuana. Terrible, man. Like, I'm never going to Tijuana again. But anyway, so this one night, this one evening, we were waiting for the call. Call never came through. So he brought up the idea, hey, let's go to Nogales. And he mentioned that it's possible for us to just hit up a pharmacy over there, and all you need is some cash, right? At that time, all you needed is some cash. I don't know how it is now. You didn't need a prescription, didn't need a doctor's note, nothing like that. We didn't even have to go see a physician at the time. You just had to go up to the pharmacy. there were quite a few different pharmacies, restaurants, and bars, just random stuff, man. Looks like a little bodega up in New York, right? So we hop in his truck and then we head to Nogales. Took us just shy of an hour to get there. We park on the American side. There's a McDonald's. Park there in the McDonald's lot and then walk across the border. We didn't want to take his truck over because we it was just really convenient, for multiple reasons. We parked on the U.S. side and then just walked. So we crossed into Mexico, man. That was actually my first time there. Um, it was a whole different world, man. As soon as you cross that border, there's Mexican nationals just hanging out there, and their hustle is to, as soon as the Americans cross the border, they approach the Americans, and they they know a little bit of English. They're like taxi, taxi, food. You want food, restaurant, beer, women. They all said just like one word um, responses, right? And they asked it in the form of a question: taxi, taxi car. So we my friend Carlos, he said the pharmacy. They're like, oh, okay, okay. So we hop in some random guy's taxi, and then he takes us to the pharmacy, right? And we weren't feeling good at the time, like physically. Our we had done like a little bit of pills like that morning, and so our withdrawals were starting to creep up on us at the same time, and so we decided to hop in this guy's taxi. He takes us to the pharmacy. As soon as you walk in, man, it's a very small place. There's like counters. It's like a U shape, and you have so many options. You walk in, look to your left, and then you just start browsing, right? Anything you want there, man. They had like Viagra and all just weird stuff, dude. So, um, my Spanish isn't the best. It still isn't the best. Carlos, his Spanish was good, right? I know enough Spanish to get us by, but he was pretty good with the Spanish. So, um, prior to going in, I gave him my cash and I was like, dude, just get whatever you can. I don't care if it's a 5 milligram Vicodin, right? I don't care, man. But cheers, man. Oh, coffee. Anyway, so Carlos is talking to, I guess, the pharmacy tech, whatever, the employee, and he arranges to get some pills, man. So they the pharmacy tech just goes in the back, and Carlos was asking them, what are our options? We have this much money. What are our options? Um, we didn't know if those were the prices at all. You know what I mean? Like, they could be slightly higher for Americans or a lot higher for Americans, but we ended up copping. I think at the time we got a I think it was like a I think it was like a 60 milligram oxycontin. I think it was something like that. All I know is like 50 or 60 milligrams, and I'm pretty sure it was oxycontin or a Percocet, one of the two. It doesn't matter. We scored. We popped that bad boy, and then we decided to walk back across the border to the truck, and then head back to come back to Tucson. And it was so easy, man. We could have gone there anytime. That was a consistent source of what we were looking for. The only problem is this is too damn far. Gas money and risking our freedom, basically. Even if we wanted to cop multiple pills, a handful of pills, we would have had to risk bringing that back to the U.S. side, and we didn't want to do that, man. We've heard so many stories. Even if we were to make it successfully, if we were to get past the border inspection, I'd say maybe about a mile down the road on our way back to Tucson, there is a border patrol checkpoint set up. Um, so we would have to make it through that as well. They had the dogs there. I don't know much if dogs are if dogs could sniff out pills, but we didn't want to risk that at all. And if the border patrol agents suspected any funny behavior, we would have had to pull off to the side, and they would, be drilling us with the questions. They'd be shaking down our car, just looking for anything, man, anything. But we made it back. We made it back, and it always turns out as soon as we made it back, we went back to his apartment or house, and just kicked it, try to figure out what we're gonna do that night. And it never fails, man. One of our guys would call, be like, "Hey, what's up? Sorry, what you need?" I'm like, "This motherfucker, dude." But so we ended up arranging to meet that guy just so we have enough for the next day, man. Like our addictions were pretty bad, you know. Um, and I had just started using. My use escalated super quick, man. I was hooked. I was instantly hooked, man. And we were just willing to do whatever it takes, go anywhere to get our stuff, man. Because once you're fully addicted and you take that first pill or whatever, it's kind of like a like a stop, not a stopwatch, just like a timer. You have a certain amount of time before you feel good and your withdrawals come back, and so it's like a race against the time every day, every time, and our addictions were bad, man. So throughout that time, that was always our last resort. So we went out there a few more times, and we went out there a lot, actually. That was mainly to party. The bars out there were pretty wild out in Nogales, man. We would always hit up the strip clubs. You get like I think it was like a Tecate, a beer for $1, can of beer. They had all the strippers there, the dancers and stuff, and they had little rooms in the back where you could take a girl in the back and spend some time with her, if you know what I mean. So it was always a trip, man. Just people watching. We would hit up some restaurants. We'd go eat, and another time, I think we went in the pharmacy. We didn't get there in time, so the pharmacy was closed. So we had to hit the locals. We had to talk to the people on the street. One of the guys that were asking us for taxis, whatever restaurants, we hit him up like, "Hey, this is what we're looking for." So we didn't get pills that one time. He ended up one time we got some coke. Terrible, terrible stuff, dude. It was like there was barely any coke in there. The majority, it was like some sort of pill, and they use that to cut, and they barely sprinkle any coke in there. So that was one of the times we got screwed. Another time was we were desperate there. We talked to this guy. He's like, "Sure, follow us." So we followed this guy to look like another hotel or apartment complex, something like that. The guy's like, "Hey, just give me $60. I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna come back." So we put some money together. Carlos gives it to dude, and we never seen that guy again. Um, that was terrible, man. That was that was terrible. I think that was the one and only time, now that I think about it, that actually got burned. You know, that actually got burned. Um, Man, those times were crazy. So fast forward some more time. Um, One of our times coming back from Nogales, we were headed back to Carlos's spot, and we take a different route. So we come back into town, and then we go to a house on the south side, South Tucson, and Carlos picks up some heroin, you know, and that was my first time seeing it in person, and just some black tar, you know, some black tar in a bag. It looked like some um, melted but hardened, looked like a Hershey Kiss inside of a plastic bag. So he gets that. He pulls over to we pull over to an AutoZone on the side of the building, and he pulls out the spoon, the syringe. I had no idea he had that on him, right? I'd never seen it before. I didn't even know he was doing that stuff. I was like, whoa, man. And I was just sitting there in the passenger seat looking at him fix it up. You know, he pulls out everything, and then he fixes himself a shot, and he does it. He starts feeling better, and he asks someone if I want some. I was like, no, bro, no, don't even. You know what I mean? Like, don't even bring that around me. Like, I was just like so disgusted and shocked at the same time. Um, it was kind of hard not to judge him. You know, I didn't vocalize, I didn't express how I was feeling, but I'm like, damn, bro, that's gross. You know what I mean? Like, just that was my first time seeing somebody inject themselves with that garbage, you know? And fast forward a little more time, I get a call from his cousin, which was my best friend at the time, you know? And it turns out Carlos OD'd, man. He was in his apartment. Um, he didn't show up to work, and that wasn't like him. He so he was MI from work. I think it was like 3 days. So his job looked at his file, and he put down his mom's number for like emergency contact. So they just wanted to make sure he was good. They call his mom. His mom hasn't talked to him in a few days, and so ultimately his mom and some of their family, they go to Carlos's apartment complex, and and he's just laid out on the floor. He has a syringe hanging out his arm, and yeah, that was that situation right there. Terrible, man. OD'd from heroin. Terrible. So that was just one of many friends that I knew OD'd from heroin, you know. And then I eventually end up smoking heroin and getting hooked from there. So all that loss, all the loss of friends, it didn't deter me from using the H. As I mentioned before, the way I got turned on to heroin was my pill guy didn't wasn't wasn't answering, right? So I went to some guy's house, and then I ended up trying heroin. It was hooked from there, from that point. So I think one of the main reasons why I decided to try it was, for one, I needed it, but I figured at the time, like, hey, I'm only smoking it. I can't OD from it, right? So that was kind of my frame of mind, and I think the main reason why I decided to smoke it and continuously smoking it, you know? So all these stories, man, it's a trip just going back to those times, to that point in my life, man. I was like super, super desperate. I mean, as we all are, right? Super desperate, willing to do any and everything, dude. Like, it's ridiculous, man. Just, just grateful, as to where I am today. Like, I am at the happiest point in my life right now. Like, I've never been happier, man. I'm happy all day and every day. Genuine happiness, man. Like, it just feels good. It just feels good, man, to be able to feel again. You know? Super grateful as to where I'm at, man. I'm so glad I was able to get better, not only for myself, not only for my family, but for my dogs, man. Omar and Sadie, they seen me at my worst. Yeah, he turned. Omar turned soon as he heard me mention his name. But they seen me at my worst, and now they're seeing me at my best. I don't know how long I'm gonna have them, but I am just super thankful. I am here for them every day. They have everything they need, right? I just hope to be. I hope I am that person that they think I am. It feels so good to be able to care for something. Just to be able to care for something. Like, dogs are a little more needy, right? They're a little more like personable, affectionate. Cats are too, but it's a different vibe. I love cats. I've never owned a cat, but I think if I were to ever own a cat, I'd want it as a kitten. That way, the kitten and I could grow up together. And yeah, man. So it just feels good to be there. It feels good to be able to show up for myself every day. Just to be able to show up for myself every day. And I hope you guys are showing up for yourselves and for the people that you love. And I hope you are doing what you love in life. Life's fragile, man. Like, we are not going to be here forever. It's weird. Like, just to be able to look around and knowing we have a heartbeat, like, just to be able to look around and see life, experience life. All of that you see, it's not going to be forever. So, we're not getting any younger, you guys. Like, start now. Whatever it is you want in life, whatever it is you want out of life, just start now, man. Start now. Don't wait till tomorrow. What if tomorrow never comes? Then you're screwed. Thanks for listening.